Hi, I'm Bob, the developer of Bob's Game.
It's December of
Hey, Bob.
2008, and 25-year-old independent video game developer Robert Poloni has locked himself inside a dimly lit viridian-colored room, where he intends to stay for 100 days. On his website, he's calling it a Japanese-style protest, tailored to a specific Japanese company. A live stream documents
He doesn't like
Poloni sits in
Nintendo
front
either,
of an
huh?
old
Good man.
desktop PC. An
Ooh, that'd be cool,
autobiographical
Sans.
RPG he's eponymously titled Bob's Game.
Welcome to Bob's
Oh, this is
An LED
intense.
strip above him switches from marking the duration of his
Why is there a
protest
tarp on the floor?
to calling out to the one person Poloni believes can prevent his work from being in vain.
My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass. I'm about taking names. And we're about making games.
Public humiliation,
Reggie's so fucking
ridicule,
cool.
self-sabotage.
I am Bob, creator of Bob's Game.
This is weird. He had like a tarp in his room that made it look like a place Dexter would kill people. This man really hates Nintendo. Like, I'm doing my part. Like, I haven't bought a Nintendo product in about a year, but fuck. I don't know if I'd lock myself in a
Bob's Game seemed to
room
appear
for
from
100 days
nowhere
and shit
in the
on the
summer
floor.
of 2008. Queues of NPCs line up at cash registers, each appearing to go about their own business.
This is
Beyond
RPG
the
Maker?
city square, the sprite follows a tree-lined
Selling it for
path
60
toward
bucks
a
on
school,
Steam?
all to the tune of
For
an
20 minutes of
overworld
work?
theme reminiscent of the MIDI-based soundtracks of the 90s. The trailer ends with Robert Poloni, the game's sole creator, silently introducing himself in the reflection of a Nintendo DS.
This is
The consensus
fucking
was that the game
weird.
seemed charming and lovingly crafted, and only a little more than a week after uploading, the trailer had been viewed over 100,000 times.
Wow,
enough
that's
to
not bad
rank
at
in the
all.
YouTube gaming
Holy
charts.
fuck.
For
When I started, I didn't have any programming experience with
Thanks
game
to Tier 1
development
Blink
or anything
and
like that at all.
Resub
No
Hinlo
pixel art
and
experience,
Prime
no
Evan.
music tracking experience. The only thing that I did have was I took a class in high school, which was introductory C++, like text input, output kind of stuff. I kind of always had this idea for, in my mind, you know, the perfect game, which was kind of something set in modern times, suburban life, not dragons, fantasy, magic, any of that kind
Yeah,
of
that's
thing.
some nerdy
Poloni
shit.
could be. So, Poloni released another longer trailer, which featured dozens of environments and over 200 unique characters that populated what Poloni described as the largest video game ever created by a single person.
I feel like everyone makes that exact same claim. It's like every game that ever gets made, like that's an indie game, has the
low
same
craftsmanship
tagline.
was a point
Biggest
Poloni
game of all time.
repeatedly emphasized, but he was apprehensive about letting anyone see or play it in its entirety for fear of intellectual property theft. He felt it would only be safe in the hands of a corporate publisher. Posters on the Select Button forums urged
The
Poloni to
last
be more
publisher you
practical.
should trust
He'd
is
made a potentially
Nintendo.
good game, but he was in danger
I'd
of
trust
getting in his own
Ubisoft
way.
before them.
From early in its development, Poloni made it clear that his game was intended to be played on a Nintendo console. He'd even loaded the game onto a homebrew Nintendo DS cartridge for his videos.
Check it out. World premiere. Right
That's
here.
pretty cool.
When is the world premiere?
That is pretty impressive.
I want to
His
get
game
it
looks
published
empty,
on the
though.
DS mainly because of the satisfaction of
Like
having it
post-apocalyptic.
manufactured, Poloni wrote.
I have to get the Nintendo development kit, which is it's called the Nitro SDK, and that's something that you can't buy unless you're a licensed developer from Nintendo or if you're
I
working
have
with
one.
a publisher.
You can
So-
borrow it.
I am supposed to receive a decision in 6 to 8 weeks, he wrote. It has been 16 weeks. And in an attempt to get Nintendo's
Oh, I'm sorry to do a quick pause. Can anybody just submit an application to get the Nintendo development kit? I find that extremely hard to believe. Developer.nintendo.com. Your adventure with Nintendo awaits, and so does misery if you work with Nintendo. Wow, it looks like literally anyone can do this. Yeah, I can just register right now. I'll submit Bob's game for him. Hey, what's up? You ever heard of Bob's Adventure? Wild. I can't believe Nintendo even has a functioning website. The Switch has the worst online capability of all time. I'm shocked I can even access this page.
Poloni began a campaign that would ultimately overshadow the game itself, alienate him from his supporters, and potentially sabotage his efforts at becoming a licensed developer. In December of 2008, Robert Poloni began what he called a 100-day Tensai sit-down protest. He lit his room with green lighting and taped a webcam to his ceiling to record himself as he worked, which was live-streamed to his website. I cannot leave this Viridian room,
This
he
looks
wrote.
really fucking
The door
weird.
is locked and barricaded from the outside. I am sleeping behind the camera, and yes, I've got a shower.
What does this
Food
do,
is
though?
delivered once a week by a friend.
What, Nintendo's
When
gonna see this and be like,
Nintendo
okay,
decides to
guess we
approve
have to
my
give him a
developer
kit now.
license application,
This guy looks
I will
sane.
leave the room. Some video game journalists attempted to use their connections to reach out to Nintendo on Poloni's behalf, but even they couldn't evoke a response. Poloni didn't know the reason for Nintendo's inaction, but he suspected conspiracy. Maybe someone deleting his emails before they could reach the appropriate executive.
Bob's game is too
or
powerful.
Even jealousy that he'd
We have
made
to stop
Bob's
it.
game and they hadn't. His live stream was largely uneventful and typically only showed Robert at his desk working on Bob's game, often in
Jesus
costume.
Christ.
But where things got truly
This is
strange were
fucking
his blog
strange,
posts.
yeah.
A couple times a week, he'd write
It kinda
an
looks
update
like,
counting down
avoiding
to
the
day
puddles room.
100, which would also be tracked on the LED strip above his workstation. He'd write a post calling himself a genius and the greatest.
Let me read this. There is nobody like me. Oh, he's going full Reddit nice guy. This is like one of those texts they send to the girl that turns him down. I'm far better than Miyamoto, Itoi, Kojima, Carmack, and Wright combined. See, I also think it's just kind of a troll, right? Like, there's no way he'd type that earnestly. Dude made something called Bob's Game, where we still haven't even seen a single other character in the world. It's just him moving around Pokemon houses. I definitely feel like this is it was supposed to be just like a ARG or a troll or something. I stand alone on a mountain no other has even dared to climb. I've swam across the ocean only cruise ships could cross. I have walked through the desert of no return. I have stepped in the footprints of none, a path never taken. I have made history, and history cannot be undone. It's too late, Nintendo. My Reddit karma speaks for itself. That's powerful. That's like the Independence Day speech.
He would later apologize to Nintendo in his fans force outburst, only to then write an even more outlandish post, demanding the development kit or else he
I'm
would
sorry,
take his revenge.
but if you don't give me this, I am gonna
Posts
fuck you
like,
up.
I will crush you into dust and flush away the ashes like any other filth, began to
yeah.
resemble a professional wrestling promo.
True,
He would write something
WrestleMania.
unexpected, only to negate it by writing that he was going to destroy them simply for his own enjoyment.
Aw.
He's writing all this stuff saying like, this will work. Reggie will hear me. And it's, it sounds, the writing sounds like it is coming from a crazy person. Like there's nothing
he looks
rational about
fine.
anything that's being typed.
Why do I hate Nintendo? Well, besides just online being dog shit, like they genuinely treat the people that support them the most like ass. The entire Smash community, like for the entire existence of the community, has been constantly shit on by Nintendo. Actively. They do the best they can to go out of their way to shut the entire community down. They're really rude to the people that really love their games. Splatoon community as well. They over-enforce their IPs to an absurd degree where even a fan project or fan art often gets hit with their cease and desist. There was also that period on the internet where you couldn't upload Nintendo game footage without getting a copyright strike on YouTube. Twitch streamers couldn't stream Mario Kart for a while because they would take down the channels. Like, they're awful. Like, it really is a company that hates the people that likes their games, man. Like, they're bad. They make good games, but they're fucking shit.
Slowly, the idea morphed into something more recognizable to its current form, with the graphics being built in a tile editor his childhood friend had programmed for him. Under its second
pretty
title,
cute.
Button Mash, it would be similar to a role-playing game.
Highly
with a large
inefficient,
open
but
world
that's
to
adorable.
explore.
I kind of wanted to make something more based around exploring, more based around talking to people. You kind of have to have some action element to it and some kind of skill building element to it. Instead of the battles, I try to do minigame challenges along with quests and along with the talking to people and problem solving.
By the time the idea was fully
Well, the game has
realized,
everything.
It had become Bob's game.
It's the only
His
game you'll
history
ever
with
need.
Nintendo, without even considering it, I immediately said no. Despite still inviting Robert to apply for developer status, the Nintendo representative told him, "Sadly, I don't think your game will ever be released."
Oh.
Months later, as Poloni was weeks deep into his protest, attempts to link the protest to the game, such as Poloni referring to Reggie Fils-Aimé, the president of Nintendo of America, as "you,"
he's gonna fucking Gangnam Style on Reggie or on
confusion.
Robert.
And it was foolish of me to think Nintendo would hear my pleas. That
was really dumb.
They're just another heartless corporation only interested in the biggest profits.
It took you 100 days of living in your own filth to realize that.
In the debris. Posters from the Select Button forums were concerned. One even called the police, who soon showed up to Poloni's house. After rousing Poloni from the floor, the police insisted he put a disclaimer on his website stating the suicide was a hoax, to which he complied, even releasing a video of himself staging it all.
Hi, I'm Bob, the developer of Bob's Game. We're in New York City, where we're going to the one and only Nintendo World Store.
Hopefully Reggie's there.
Nintendo DS. This is the developer of Bob's Game, sole developer.
Although Poloni had abandoned his Tensei style, for day 50, Poloni, his friends, and a few hired models that he'd found on Craigslist showed up at the Nintendo World Store with handfuls of posters advertising his game, which they taped along the store's exterior and
if I saw one of those posters, I'd probably play
to
it.
dump on the floor or attach
expecting
to
it to be
games,
fucking
and
horrible.
homemade boxed copies of his title that they lined along the shelves.
Poster here? Yeah, do it. Bob's. Oh. Bob's Game.
Naturally, he was kicked out.
Alright guys, you gotta go now. You gotta leave now.
Yeah, we're customers.
Okay, you gotta leave now.
We're going to the end.
It's clear Poloni intended this performance to be seen as part of his self-described protest, but it came off as more of a tantrum. He's exchanged his game development ambitions for fleeting e-celebrity status, wrote video game journalist Griffin McElroy. His website, meanwhile, showed no signs of slowing down. Abducted by aliens, kidnapped by the Yakuza, Bob seemed determined to escalate the absurdity.
What is this? Oh, now he's starting to RP a little bit. Wow, okay. So he's been abducted by the Yakuza and aliens. Man, this guy can't catch a break. The game is too powerful.
Seemed determined to escalate the absurdity until he either tuckered himself out or Nintendo answered his call. Poloni finally managed to elicit a response from Nintendo. Although they had been, in Poloni's opinion, mysteriously stalling his application, perhaps because they were, quote, insanely jealous that they didn't think of it first. On February 5th, Poloni received Nintendo's official decision. "We have completed our evaluation of your application." Poloni received
Unable to yeah, I'll let her read
Nintendo's official decision. "We have completed our evaluation of your application and are unable to offer your company authorized developer status at the present time."
Music to my ears, am I right, Bob?
Insult was added to injury when the letter was compared to the letter at time.
They hit him with an automated message. Damn, ain't that just the worst? Dag nabbit. What in tarnation? Nintendo can't even take a second to play Bob's Game? A game where there's no one else but Bob in it?
Or something.
This is kind of adorable. Even through it all, after faking a suicide on his Nintendo protest livestream, getting rejected by Nintendo, hating Nintendo, he couldn't bring himself to hate Reggie. Reggie was still innocent. He was being controlled by the evil Nintendo overlords. Reggie really was just such a good guy, like a really positive figure.
The system exists to play games. Games created by Nintendo and games created by you.
That's a goddamn lie.
I am very serious.
None of my games are on there, Reggie. Where's Bob's game?
I'll see you there on day 100, Reggie. He explained that what he was doing was a, quote, real-time internet soap opera protest. They searched Poloni's bags for weapons and found nothing, but would only allow him to attend the Nintendo keynote presentation with a security escort.
And all of you here in this room have also kindly supported Nintendo as software developers. And
oh, that's gotta hurt to hear that.
Thank you.
In an email to his Nintendo contact, he told them to be on the lookout for, quote, something big, something important and original.
What a great plan to make them afraid of you.
Lure Nintendo's executives
and consider you a psychopath.
Real-world extension of the Bob's
oh, you were just kidding? Okay, we'll take your game.
One which combined product and process into a single experience. In an email to video game press outlets, Poloni wrote, "It saddens me that Angry Developer
That's
Litters
sweet.
is
Thanks,
considered more
Lootbox.
newsworthy than Angry Developer was actually a really cool, elaborate, viral campaign that fooled everyone."
BobsGame.com is a viral advertisement. It always was.
Amidst it all, questions
Man.
persisted. What about the
And
game?
what a good advertisement it
Was Poloni
was.
still intending to release it?
Yeah.
Was there even a game to begin
Fuck
with?
yeah.
This very question was posed by friend and fellow game developer Tim Rogers, who asked
I thought that
Poloni
was
where
Max
the trolling
Mofo.
stopped
Is that
and
not
reality
Max?
began. "It stops in that there is actually a game," Poloni said, "and it's actually pretty good." The demo was only playable on a Nintendo DS emulator
Thanks,
and
there are some
featured about an
strings and
hour and a half
ravioli
of gameplay.
and Prime
It
Ricky.
opens with the game's protagonist having just moved into a new house with his parents and 2 siblings, navigating through mazes of moving boxes to collect items and trigger events before branching out into the world. The minigame challenges were difficult, perhaps too difficult.
You suck, fucking dick. I ain't doing that again.
Mudahar! He played
One more
Bob's
try.
game?
Fuck Bob. Fuck Bob, man. Fuck Bob.
Mudahar is so young! What the fuck is this? He's a baby boy. That's so cute. Did he ever beat Bob's game? Come on now.
Fucking dick. I ain't doing that again.
A reporter for MTV News even confronted Reggie of Nintendo about their decision to deny Poloni developer status. He did submit to be a licensed developer, Reggie said. "We evaluated the opportunity. We decided at this point in time he did not meet the requirements to be a licensed developer."
Yeah, this was the time when he was
the interviewer
shitting and
pushed for
showering in a room on
specifics,
stream,
Reggie
so...
replied, "We unfortunately cannot get into the details of Bob." And if released on something
Executive
other than the
scheme.
DS, Poloni was sure Nintendo sales would suffer as a result. If Bob's game is
Yeah, I
released
actually didn't know
worldwide
Steam
as a
could
killer
reject
app homebrew
games.
title,
I didn't know it was
Poloni wrote,
possible.
"This could potentially lead to the DS.
I have literally bought a game on
completely
Steam that
useless as a
didn't have the
countermeasure."
executable
So
file
he
in it,
decided
meaning
to
I
release
bought
Bob's
something I
game
could never
via
play.
his own handheld video game console.
So I don't know how you
This
get rejected.
is the ND, the indie handheld console.
That corner of the market where you've got small teams making weird games that can still
Thanks, Rocco.
survive next to the AAA games, I think is a good thing.
Independent creators who Poloni had befriended at past developer conferences began releasing their games. Tim Rogers went on to see success with Ziggurat. Phil Fish, who Poloni had reportedly offended by
Fez.
stating his game looked like Cave Story, eventually released Fez, also to widespread acclaim.
That I don't remember what, but why was Fez so controversial again? Real quick, just give me the cliff notes because I remember Fez had big fucking controversy. I can look it up, but I'm just gonna go to the chat first, just think maybe you can give me like a concise explanation. Phil Fish is an asshole, and that's about it. Oh.
Those still checking in
Oh,
on
it's
his
pretty
website were
surreal.
met with Poloni's quote, "ascension into the true prophet and savior of mankind."
Well, it's
but
about
whether
time.
he was still making Bob's game is the vehicle for a prophecy
Thanks, Elder.
written by a self-taught
Bits nerd.
genius prophet. It carries within it a message that will revolutionize society and change the world. It is the beginning of a new era for mankind. Despite the theater, the game itself was looking good, and now boasted such features as character customization, cleaner looking graphics, and improved mini-games with alleged multiplayer capabilities.
Whoa! Whoa! You telling me and my friends can play some Bob's game
Best of
together?
all, there was no. He announced the game would be released on other platforms in December of that year. Poloni wrote he was inspired to make the Kickstarter by his friend, Alex Peake, who'd raised over $170,000 for his game Code Hero. But Robert's target was...
Did that game ever come out? Sorry, it's a Kickstarter. I'd like to know if it ever came out. Code Hero. All I can find is their Kickstarter. The release date is to be announced. That is every single fucking Kickstarter. It is amazing to me that people still put money into Kickstarter games or Indiegogo campaigns.
Poloni released an autobiography on his website. It's
some
nearly
nugget.
book length and oddly confessional, with stories ranging from accidentally killing his pet kitten when he was younger to
What?
angrily quoting "head like a hole" lyrics at his parents. He wrote that he'd been inspired by the Year Zero alternate reality game from 9 Inch Nails, a multimedia dystopian experience aimed at the Bush administration. Poloni's live stream and 100-day protest were an attempt to create a similar campaign targeting Nintendo. I was going to become the 9 Inch Nails of video games, Poloni wrote. It was going to be the coolest thing anyone had ever done in video games.
Is this Robert playing DDR? Because he's pretty good.
His connection to Nintendo seemed to run deep.
Oh, solid.
He reached his $10,000 Kickstarter goal, but the December release date came and went, with Bob's Game nowhere to be found. Backers grew worried, and eventually upset. And in the rare moments Poloni provided an update, he did little to inspire confidence. As the months went by, news of Kickstarter refunds began to surface.
Imagine you just take $10,000 from people and all you can say is, I'm turning into God. Fuck. I cannot believe people still fucking give money to Kickstarters.
Little to inspire confidence. Uploads to his website and YouTube channel stopped for more than a year, until the summer of 2016 when Bob's Game appeared to be available for free on Steam and itch.io.
There it is!
But those who downloaded it didn't find the RPG they were expecting.
Oh.
What is it, just Tetris? You make
Mudahar again!
I thought you had a whole DS game, dude. What the fuck is this?
Mudahar!
What? You turned it into Dr. Mario now. I'm confused, Bob. You're scaring me. What is the game anymore?
Many who expected the game they'd been and when Poloni began to move on to other projects, such as this, quote, billion-dollar edu game that would replace K-12 education, it seemed Bob's Game had truly come to an end.
That sounds like an Indiegogo campaign. I'm going to change the way we breathe using my new device that you wear around your wrist. Our goal is flexible at $4 million.
Stories of independent developers responding to the sudden rush of attention they've received.
This man didn't even finish K-12 education. True, he dropped out.
Phil Fish
which is why he's replacing it.
After the success of Fez, claiming YouTubers who played his game on their channel owed him advertising.
That's fucking right. I remember that now. Oh, I totally fucking forgot about that meltdown. Yeah. Classic Fish.
Once Alex Mahan became popular after well-known YouTubers streamed the demo for his anime-inspired stealth action title Yandere Simulator.
Oh, classic!
Poloni has remained largely silent in recent years. He's been banned from updating his own Wikipedia page for failing to follow editing guidelines. He'll occasionally
I didn't even know you could be
appear in
banned from
discussions
Wikipedia.
whenever the subject of his game comes up, always quick to assure his fans that he's still working on Bob's Game,
Messiah.
but vague as to the specifics. Reggie Fils-Aimé stepped down as the president of Nintendo of America in 2019. His replacement is fittingly named Doug Bowser. Perhaps Poloni would find him more
I'm pretty sure Doug
receptive
Bowser's
to a renewed
dead.
campaign to bring Bob's Game
He hasn't
to
been seen
Nintendo
since
once
his
and for all.
announcement.
But if something like that is in the works, no one knows but Bob himself.
Bob's Game at the Nintendo World Store. We're going to purchase a DS and we're going to play it here.
You're gonna love it. I know you. You're gonna really get something.
That's the reaction.
That was great.
Well, yes, we've got a question from our listeners, and here
Another great video from Atrocity Guide. I didn't know anything about Bob's Game. I'd actually never even heard of it, which is crazy to me if it really was that big of a deal, because I was glued to the internet. Always have been. So for that to slip under my radar is shocking.